Good evening, it's Kinninigan. I'm just giving you a little health update. My tooth actually fell out yesterday. The one that was loose, that I thought I was going to be able to pull out last week, but I didn't because I didn't want to get dry socket. Yesterday, it just came out itself. So for the past 24 hours, I haven't eaten anything because I don't want to agitate my tooth. So I've had to cut down on everything from smoking to eating, and 24 hours later, I think my gum is okay. I'm going to attempt to try to eat solid food. I've had this loose tooth for about 6 months, and I've lost weight because I have not been able to eat correctly. And I made a lot of videos where I was angry every day because I woke up with. I've had fucking tooth pain for 6 months. And now, what's weird, I don't know if anyone else has had a tooth come out when you're an adult, but it usually takes a day before you're even able to talk correctly because yeah, your mouth feels obviously different, right? Um, Kind of getting used to it. So yeah, let me show you something. Can you hear that? You know what that is? That's four of my teeth that I have extracted. My two of them are wisdom teeth. One is a molar that came out about 2 years ago, and the other one just came out yesterday. So I have no more tooth pain. I might be able to finally eat solid food again. Oh, I didn't starve to death yesterday. Thanks to one of my subs, DH, I do have something called kachava, if you know what that is. Yeah, you could substitute. It's a superfood. It's like, and it's good. She got me the chocolate kind, and I don't even mix it with milk. I'm a big milk drinker, by the way. Don't know if you knew that. I actually put milk in my coffee every day, and I can only drink whole milk. I cannot drink 1% milk. Um, It's another thing. Yes, I still drink whole milk all the time. I don't know. I don't know. I can't do low fat milk. You would think the way if you see my diet, you would be like, how the hell are you so skinny, Ken? You diet? I don't think I've ever had a. I've never went on a diet in my life. I've just been blessed with high metabolism. But even I haven't been eating properly in the past few months. Hopefully that changes now. Uh, Look, all this shit going on in the news. I'm here. I'm watching a video about George R. R. Martin. I put a video up yesterday and I took it down. I'll tell you why. It wasn't anything to do with reptilians. It had to do. I'll tell you again what my plan was. I told people I was going to attempt to write some short stories. And not just write short stories in vain. There are contests out there that pay damn good money too. Secondly, with all this woke and DEI shit going on in Hollywood right now, Hollywood in the next 5 years is going to be desperate for original scripts of good shit that they can make into movies, not some rehashed IP where they fucking making now remaking Beetlejuice. You know what? I'll give Jenna Ortega. Out of all the Hollywood actresses, I actually kind of like her. She's a little young for me. I'd adopt her as a daughter. I'm not into 20-year-old girls, but just saying, if you are, and whatever, that's your. But what I like about Jenna Ortega, you may not have known this. She did that infamous dance in the first season of what was that? The Wednesday, the Adams Family show. Well, she is the one who made up that dance that she does at the prom that went viral on TikTok. And the showrunners were absolutely pissed at her because that was created by Jenna herself. The writers did not make that dance up. Jenna did. She actually went and learned how to dance when everybody was on lockdown, and then the showrunners got mad at her. I don't know if you knew about that. And then they were trying to throw her under the bus. And now Jenna Ortega is making a lot of noise about the Hers is the gender swapping. She wasn't talking about race swapping as much, but you know what's going on, and that's why I'm here at George R. Martin's blog. This is Quinn the GM. One of my things I'm doing in my free time is I am reading Game of Thrones for a few reasons. One of those reasons is to see how good story structure is set up for my own short stories. I view the average Game of Thrones book has 75 chapters in it. And every one of those chapters is written like a short story around one character, their structure, and if you some people wonder how the hell you get through these Game of Thrones books when they're so thick. Well, I'll tell you, it's easy because you're only following one character at a time. You're not in 10 different places in Westeros. You're either in King's Landing, above the wall, or whatever, with one character. And by the end of the chapter, it usually leads on some type of incident where you want to know what happens next. So I have an idea for some short stories set in my imaginary world of Maldak. And I have a short story that I want to write, but I think that I may have disclosed too much information in saying what the short story is about because it's not going to change. The title of my short story is The Sea Steps. That's all you got to know. I even had. It's going to be set in modern time. When I say modern times, not 2024. Quite honestly, I don't. I don't know what it is. I'm not. I really don't want to set a story in modern times because something happens in my story. And if everyone had smartphones and GPS tracking and the ability to go right on their research vessel, and no, that's not going to work for my story. Because there's something that happens in this story. It's also a metaphorical short story of how mainstream, this is why it's going to resonate with people, how the mainstream finds ancient sites around the world and they can't explain them, so they just try to hide them up in the annals of history. Specifically, if you are well aware of the Game of Thrones universe, you know that there are old structures in Westeros built from black, oily stone. One of the biggest corporations trying to bring in the New World Order is Black Rock. I need to do a video about the significance of this black granite that's found specifically in the southern Pacific Ocean because that's where my short story takes place. Except my short story, it takes place in my Maldek universe, but in modern times. Kind of interesting how I could tie them in together because if Maldek existed at one time, or Atlantis. There's a few things in my book. One, would the Atlanteans refer to themselves as Atlantis, specifically because it's a Greek word? uh, I don't think so. Maybe not. There are things that are right on my desktop, right in front of your face, that if you read them, it's specifically, all right, I do these custom icons on my desktop, right? Right? One of these is just video games. Some of these are programs I use. Like these are my video games right here. Well, the
George R.
names
R.
for
Martin's
these,
not a blog with a
Arulo and Kior, are the names of two of the 10 islands of Atlantis, as per the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. Zenaro, you just know what that is. That's the Atlantean mantra for power. So, um, I even got conflict book. I do want. I would love to work on an epic. So, what's George writing about here? Well, if I wrote, so I'm going to write this short story, The Sea Steps. I will. I've had subs ask if I can read my short stories. Yeah, why not? I also have some other ideas. Ideas that Hollywood would want to make into movies in a New York second because I know how to play with current political and social trends in a way that it would sound appealing to movie goers, but it's not exactly what you think. It's like you know how like they want everyone disarmed and everyone to hand their guns in. I went over this story idea with a friend of mine a few years back. It's still in my head. I didn't write it then, but maybe I should. And it's kind of an idea for a novella. It's a little bit longer than a short story, but I'm not going to tell you what happens in this. Basically, I'll tell you what the story's about. An, an alien race shows up to Earth. One of the first things they do is our guns do not operate. Strange enough, I wanted to call the short story the Ziphos. If you know what a Ziphos is, that is a Spartan short sword. Yeah, I'm kind of referring to the possibility of Spartans being aliens in this. And they come back to Earth in modern times, and something happens. I don't want to, but one of the main premises of the story is how the aliens use alien technology to make our guns not operate because they want to force us into martial combat. Real warriors, people not hiding behind a trigger of a gun. It's not exactly the kind of story you might think. There's a twist at the end of that story, specifically because the spear that the Spartans used is called a dory. And dory, if you did not know, translates out to lizard killer in Greek. So I had this idea, this science fiction alien story called the Zephos, and I ran it by a buddy of mine. He's like, "Can they, if Hollywood made a movie out of that, like that sounds fucking awesome." I think the last good alien movie we had in Hollywood, Arrival, was good. If you noticed in Arrival, the aliens look like octopus. Hello, but I would say besides outside of that would have been Independence Day with Will Smith. Very good. But I have even a better idea. So who knows? There might be a future for me with my creative. I have a lot of creative. I have no shortness of creativity. And the other thing that could be possible for me in the future, Lord knows they're going to need it because these woke people have fucked up so many Hollywood video games and movies they don't even know about. And that is a consultant for ancient mythology and the occult. I don't know how I would do that. How do I make myself available as a video game consultant to people that want to add a realistic occult aspect to their video games? You want to develop a magic system that seems real? Call me. I'll help you. Yeah, we can get this. George R. Martin even made a comment about magic in fantasy before, how magic should be unpredictable. And in George R. R. Martin's own words, like, if somebody puts a symbol on the floor and summons a demon from hell, this is George R. R. Martin saying this, and then that demon appears, but he doesn't bring you riches, he then decides to turn around and eat you, then that is unpredictable black magic, and that's what black magic is. Don't make deals with demons is your first lesson. He said if you have a magic system in fantasy where you're telling people they got to take an eye of a a toenail of a dead man and the fur of a black cat and mix it in a cauldron, that's actually science. That's not magic. You can look at cooking as a form of alchemy. If any of you women listening know how to bake cakes, you're a skilled alchemist already. Don't know if you knew that. Yeah, I have to make a video about alchemy in the future. So, but beware of the butterflies. Today, George R. R. Martin came out with a post. If you did not know, House of the Dragon has swayed from the source material. Why? We know who the bitch is. I hate calling women this, but she screwed up the show. Her name is Susan Hess. She is one of the writers at House of the Dragon, employed by HBO, and she's an outspoken feminist. This is why in the TV show of House of the Dragon, the two female characters, Rihanna, whatever, and Allison, are written where they can't do any wrong. And first of all, these show writers have no idea what the hell's even going on in Fire and Blood. The book Fire and Blood, which thanks to my sub Kalina, she sent me an audiobook of it. Is there's a lot more going on in that book than just the Dance of the Dragons. That book is written from a maester. And it is the same thing that I deal with and other people deal with mainstream archaeology written by the quote unquote mainstream. Do you want people from elitist colleges teaching you about reptilians? Because they're probably not going to do a very good job of it. And then obviously he's talking about the butterfly effect because they're changing shit. And here's what's really going on in Fire and Blood. This is David Lightbringer. He's probably one of the best lore decoders in Game of Thrones. He has a man. See, if I had a YouTube channel just dedicated to decoding Game of Thrones, I David Lightbringer is doing pretty good for himself. That's all I'm saying. Am I in the wrong business? Well, what's really going on in Fire and Blood is the anti-dragon conspiracy from the Maesters themselves. The Maesters were the ones who engineer the fall of the Targaryen Empire and are the ones who do not want dragons in Westeros anymore. If you know anything about Game of Thrones and the Maesters, they try to deny magic. And in the world of Westeros, magic is more powerful when the dragons are around. Secondly, through inbreeding alone, all the Targaryens are supposed to be batshit crazy. At least when the first Game of Thrones came out, you know, they wrote Cersei correctly. Cersei, she was, yeah, at the end of the day, batshit crazy. But she was a product of, well, she engages in incest. She wasn't exactly a product of incest, but you get the idea. So George R. R. Martin has written this whole blog post. Basically, it would be the same. I could, he's got to finish his books. Like I said, it'd be the same as someone stealing one of my Maldek works and trying to make it like the reptilians are the good guys. The Atlanteans are. No, them Atlanteans. They're all MAGA white supremacists, all the Atlanteans. They need to die. Please. So, yeah, you're going to see a very big void in creativity or people that can create. Or Look, no one accepts their woke shit. It's backfired on them. They're really pissed about it because the modern audience doesn't exist. Because they're fucking imaginary. Just like Joe Biden's 81 million voters in 2020. Hello, it ain't that hard to figure out. Nobody likes these people or anything they're about. And this is a shame. We have no good TV shows to watch right now. I didn't watch House of the Dragon because I wanted to binge watch it, but now I'm hearing that it's hard for me because I absolutely love fantasy, but they fucked it up. You cannot take woke writing and feminists and George R. R. Martin's Game of Thrones are a genre called grimdark. Okay? I've already heard that in House of the Dragon, there's not too much sex in it. How many fucking chapters? I'm reading Game of Thrones right now. You know how many chapters start out in brothels with Tyrion? Although those sex scenes. Not all the sex scenes in Game of Thrones are meant to be sexy. And alright, I'm not even going to comment on that one for a few reasons. One, in the books, a lot of the characters are a lot younger than they are in the TV show, so I just try to imagine Emilia Clarke anytime I read a Khaleesi chapter. Just imagine she's the one who played Daenerys on the HBO TV show. I just put her in my head. No, she's not 13 years old. She's 25. No. Alright. But yeah, that's what Grimdark is. There's a lot of violence. There's a lot of sex, and it's written for grown-ups. And now, I think what is happening is at the end of the day, it's actually HBO that might be a little pissed off now because the real HBO had a really good reputation for a while of putting out cutting edge shows, starting with The Sopranos, The Wire. I don't know, that come on HBO. You get the idea. The only TV show that got away that was pretty dark in its tones was Breaking Bad, but that appeared on AMC, so obviously there wasn't going to be any nudity in it, which makes sense, but still a lot of violence. Breaking Bad didn't have to worry about the diversity thing because it wasn't forced, because Walter White was dealing with Mexican drug cartels. First of all, in House of the Dragon, they took the Valerians. Now, here's the fucked up thing, black people. Did you know, as per George R. R. Martin's own admittance, he originally was going to make the Valerians reptilian hominoids? Don't know if you knew that. Then George was convinced by another woman, I think her name is Phyllis or some one of his hippie writing friends. She suggested that George abandon that and go with having dragons. And but the Valerians in the book, they have silver hair and purple eyes. They were originally supposed to be reptilian hominoids, but apparently the fucking writers at House of the Dragon at HBO, they don't give a shit about. Let's make them black people now. And one of the black characters that George R. R. Martin wrote for House of the Dragon, her name is Nettles. She is a black girl that actually tames the dragon sheep stealer. She has been cut from the show because of the race swapping. They don't want to depict black people as also being like a poor peasant girl. This is what George is writing about, the butterfly effect. They have no fucking excuse because Fire and Blood is a complete novel. But no, we got these woke writers that think they're better than George and they're going to redo his work. And all I see on my YouTube feed all day is videos about House of the Dragon and how pissed off people are. I don't know. Hollywood. Yeah. Uh, so anyway, that's my rant. I'm going to try to eat something. If you could support the channel, I'd appreciate it. I need protein to fatten myself back up. There's a reason I haven't been on video for a while because I've lost weight. Time to plump back up because winter is coming. So you can support the channel. I'd appreciate it. The more I read the Game of Thrones books, I'm up to about. I'm on the third book right now, Storm of Swords. But the more I read it, the more I'm pissed at HBO. The only good thing that ever came from the HBO Game of Thrones show is Charles Dance as Tywin Lannister. Let's be honest, he's fucking awesome. But whatever. I can't believe that these. Well, I know why. I know why they're. I mean, why there's been a rise in wokeism recently, but it's failing. Nobody fucking likes it. Um, these are industries that are supposed to be built on creativity. These fucking woke people lack creativity. We all know that. Dude, they're a bunch of idiots. They act like black people and gay people had never been in fucking science fiction or fantasy before. They're so full of shit. There are black people in Game of Thrones, but I don't know, HBO come the fuck out of the show. Did you know in the books that Daenerys Targaryen has a 350-pound, 7-foot tall black bodyguard? Black bodyguard named Storm Belwas. He wasn't in the Game of Thrones TV show. I guess they didn't need DEI requirements when they were writing the first few seasons of Game of Thrones, but they cut certain characters out. And now in the House of the Dragon, they cut the only black character, black woman, that George wrote into Fire and Blood for diversity because the showrunners wanted to make the Valerians black because diversity. And like I said originally, the Valerians were going to be reptilian hominoids. Well, that would have been interesting. Oh, and by the way, in the books, some of the Targaryens still birth reptilian hominoids. Don't know if you know that. Yeah, that's another piece of lore that's in the books. Oh well, let's make the reptilian hominoids black people because diversity. Until they're not fucking racist there. This is the butterfly effect. This is why you can't go changing shit. Has anyone watched the show listening? The blood and cheese scene? They fucked that up. Because she was actually supposed to choose between two sons, and one of them was supposed to die. But no, Sarah Hess, the feminist, she can't have women making decisions like that. Like I said, stay the fuck away from grimdark fantasy. If you are a feminist, a woke feminist, go fucking write TV shows for A&A or whatever that lesbian TV show. You just get the idea. Go write made for TV movies about disgruntled lesbians. Stay the fuck out of grimdark fantasy. You're not bringing anything new to the table. There already are black people in Game of Thrones. One of the most powerful wizards in Game of Thrones is a black guy named Mokoro from the fire of the Fire Temple that Melisandre is a member of, the Lord of Light. Although I think Mokoro might have appeared in the show. It's because Westeros is split up like a real planet is split up, and where you have the tropical climates, people have darker skin. On the other side of the world, where it's not fucking snowing all the time, yes, there are black people in Westeros. I heard there's a rumor because HBO was going to make a spin off show about Jon Snow. However, the woke ass writers couldn't find a way to include black people in the TV show Above the Wall. Uh, yeah, whatever. It's fucking ridiculous anymore. When's this shit gonna stop? It's gonna be seen as a stain in human fucking history where, you know, they're saying that, yeah, people aren't too happy with, well, George, stop selling the rights to your shit to HBO. Go finish your books. So, yeah, I'll try to write some short stories. Kenny, don't vote for. What the fuck would I vote for? I'm in Philly. I'm sick of hearing about the fucking election. And I would never vote in Philly because these fuckers would just steal my vote. Yeah, I just said it. The fuck am I going to go out and vote for when Democrats in Philly are just going to fucking steal it like they do all the time? I see nobody wearing fucking Biden shirts in Philly, yet every fucking election, all Philly votes Democrat. Get the fuck out of here. I'm sick of it. Why the fuck should I even go out and vote? Two, if you are a Democrat and you can't see that these people are no longer fucking Democrats and your party's been hijacked, just stay away from me. The party of totalitarianism, censorship. Yeah. Yeah. So that's my rant. Just a little update there on what's going on with Game of Thrones. I think HBO's a little pissed because they're not getting good reviews for the show. This is what happens when you hire fucking feminists. Yeah, because I heard they're doing the same shit. They're girl bossing the chicks on the show. They're making the men look stupid. They put a lesbian scene in there between two women that wasn't even in the books. You know, big deal, whatever. Like I said, there's gay people in Game of Thrones. There's fucking lesbians. They're not bringing anything new to the table. They think they are. Anyway, it's all for my rent. If you could support the channel, I'd appreciate it. I think I could talk again. It still feels weird when your tooth first comes out. I need to eat. I need to gain some weight. I need to plump up for winter. Any questions or comments, leave them below. God bless and take care.